Hey, this is Meridith, Elliott, Powell, and that's right. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning, time for Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to sell more effectively. I'm hanging out here with my co-host, Mark Hunter. How you doing this morning, Mark?
I am doing great. It's Saturday morning. What's a better place to be than right here with Sales Logic, right?
I know we've got a really strong show this morning, a particularly good question. So I'm going to hit the video so we can go ahead and dive in. Sound good?
Let's go.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
It is Sales Logic. Again, good morning, Saturday morning. Now, again, I'm Meridith, Elliott, Powell. Let me just give you an overview of how the show works because we want to jump into the details today. We always start off with a question from you, the audience. So if you want to participate in Sales Logic, two ways you can do it. Send us a question out at saleslogicpodcast.com, or as you can see, the chat is starting to light up. So it's always good to have comments there. We cover a hot topic, discuss a book, and leave you with a lightning round because we want you to get return on investment. So Mark, what is on tap for today?
Well, on tap, we already have listeners from Vancouver and Chicago checking in. Great to have both of you with us. The topic this morning, selling from a place of power rather than a place of need. Ooh, I love this. Strategies to control the sales process rather than letting it control you. So that's the topic we're going to jump into. The question comes from Sonia in San Antonio. I'm the CRO of a growing company. I've been hands-on with our largest division for the last 2 years, building a world-class sales organization. I like this. This division accounts for 75% of our revenue. In 2022, I need to turn my attention to starting 2 new divisions. How do I invest the time I need to invest in starting these 2 new divisions while ensuring that the original division I've designed does not lose steam? We need to lessen our dependence on our cash cow. Oh, I love this. But need to keep producing. Great question. Great strategy. Jump in, Meridith.
I do. I love this question as well. Okay, so you're the CRO. You've built this division and it's 75% of your revenue. Now you need to take your hands off the cash cow and start 2 other divisions. Right strategy for the business, but a little scary, right? Because, you need to diversify the income. You've got everything in too much in one bucket, but at the same time, that bucket needs to be producing. The first thing I'm going to tell you is number 1, I am assuming you have the right people in the right seats in that division that is a 75% of your income. This is a time to really get honest with yourself. And do you believe that the people who are there can do the job? If you do, then get clear on your expectations. Let's get really clear on what you need to know from a behavior standpoint and a result standpoint on a weekly basis in order for you not to be involved day in and day out. And what I mean by that is, let's assume that I worked for you in that division and you believed that I was the right person. What you want to do is you want to make clear the expectations you have of me every week, behaviorally and from a results standpoint. And when you and I meet, I'm going to give you updates, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as if you were involved every day. I call this fingertip management. You still understand what's happening in that division day in and day out, but you don't have to be there day in and day out.
That is what's so key, because it really comes down to the people that you're able to lead. Sonia, you have to move from a position of what you refer to as, or what may believe is selling, to really that position of really leading. This audience we have is global this morning.
I love it. We've got Ireland and
but
India.
Yeah. Here's the situation, Sonia. You've got three divisions that you're going to be spending time with. And what you want to do is you need to absolutely, without a doubt, allocate your time. It's interesting. Jack Dorsey, when he was running Twitter, and I believe it was Square, he was literally he was CEO of both companies at the same time. He was literally dividing his time, that Tuesdays and Wednesdays he was with one company, Mondays and Friday, whatever. And there have been other CEOs who have been running multiple companies who do the same thing. Sonia, it's going to be really imperative for you to be blocking your time. But here's something that you have to be careful of. You're asking your people to block their time in terms of how they bring to you challenges so that you can be focused. You need to be respectful to them. It's very easy for the person who's managing multiple divisions to start firing off missiles. I need this checked. I need this checked. Going back to this fingertip management, I'm going to poke with this finger. I'm going to poke with this finger. I'm going to poke with this finger. And you have to allow that you need to be more focused. In other words, when you're all in with this person dealing with this division, you're all in with them. And then you shift and you're over here and you're over here. Don't allow yourself to really become a victim of shiny object leadership. And this is what I see when leaders get spread too thin, having to manage too many things at one time.
Yeah, I want to break this down too, because not everybody listening to this podcast runs a global division. So this applies to us, those of us who run small organizations as well as large organizations. Number one, your cash cow needs to be protected. It's where your revenue is coming from right now. But let's assume, and I am hoping that everybody listening to this podcast is working to diversify their income streams, because the last 2 years have taught us nothing else. They've taught us that we have to diversify our income streams. You don't know, given how much uncertainty is in the marketplace, what verticals are at risk, what products and services are at risk. So number one, as you do that, realize that your cash cow is your comfort zone. And when you'll default to doing the things you're good at and the things that produce the revenue. So think about the things that you need to delegate. Like I think about my assistants that work for me. And when I delegate things to them, I'm very clear on that delegation of both results and behaviors. And then when we meet on a weekly basis, we discuss both of those. It's how I am sure that things are getting done in the areas of my business that need done, but I don't have to be intimately involved. The danger that Sonia's got and all of us have got is that if we stay 100% committed to what we're already doing, it's as far as our business is ever going to go. So you've got to create the space, think about what you can delegate, what you can let go of. But then I think it was President Reagan who said, trust but verify, right? So that's why he keeps saying behaviors and results. Don't just tell people what needs to be accomplished. You need clarity on the behaviors they're doing, because if they don't get the result, you want to know what went wrong. If they do get the result, you want to know what they need to be doing more of.
And there's a couple of very simple things. You have to create for yourself a dashboard of what are the metrics that you're looking at. Now, this is what's so key, because CRM systems have really brought us the whole era of dashboards. I'm going to look at this dashboard and I'm going to see how my business is doing. Now, you as a leader, and I don't care if maybe a small business, I do this. I have a small business. I have a dashboard. There are certain metrics that I look at, but here's the whole thing. It's not the metrics. It's what's getting us to the metrics. That's what's absolutely key. If you become so fixated on the number itself, you will lose total sight of how you actually came up with the number. In fact, I tell some people, let go of the number, let go of that revenue number, focus more on the process that you're using, and then begin allocating. Where do I need to put my focus? Where do I need to put my time? Sonia, you're in a great situation that you've been able to develop a wonderful cash cow. And I'm glad that you and your leadership have the wherewithal to say, hey, we got to get beyond this. That's good. Yeah. Because again, I want my revenue streams coming from multiple streams. If I only got one stream, if some beavers up the stream build a big dam, I'm toast. That was a weird analogy. Okay, that was weird.
That was one that I'm not sure made a lot of sense. But what we want to
Hey, come on, man. I'm getting back to
no.
here.
I'm gonna give you big kudos, because I think Mark said something really important, and it's something that all of us can take on that. Measure those metrics that got you to to the result. That is really really important. Whether we're Sonia running a huge global division or we're running smaller operations, diversify that revenue stream, protect your cash cow, but be willing to delegate to the right people, and you're going to come out on top. I love what Teresa had said here, and that is that trust driving and adaptive leadership style, being willing to let go, to move on, because that really is Sonia's role as a leader, is to start to find new opportunities. She's built this piece, she's got it running. Delegate. Whether you're big or small, you can do the same thing.
Remember, in the words of Steve Jobs, our goal is to hire smart people and let them do what they're supposed to do. Okay, I butchered that whole piece, but you get the idea. Hire smart people and let them run. Let them run. Why do we hire smart people and tell them what to do? They should be telling us what to do. Okay, hey, let's run to the question, or the topic, I should say. Selling from a place of power rather than a place of need. Strategies to control the sales process rather than letting it control you. I'm going to jump in first. It's have a full pipeline. I mean, come on. I mean, it's amazing. We are going to get into the Hunger Games very quickly if we don't have a full pipeline.
Great point. Yeah, that having as much coming through that pipeline as possible, willing to say no. I'm going to add, I was just talking about this in a sales training the other day. It's why I wanted to make it a topic this morning, is that I would say be choosy about what goes into your pipeline. We were talking about, in a good economy, it can take 3 to 4 touches to close a customer. In a bad economy, it can take 8 to 10. And in an uncertain economy, it can take 16 to 18 touches to close a customer. You're going to go broke if you have to touch a customer 16 to 18 times to get that deal to move another inch. So you've got to shorten the sales cycle. And the only way to shorten the sales cycle is the better you understand your ideal customer, the better you'll choose your ideal prospect. Not everybody wants to do business with you, and you don't want to do business with everybody. One of the biggest mistakes I see salespeople make, and I get it, I do it too. We love the chase of the deal. So it's almost like if a customer is more difficult and more challenging, I'm almost a little more turned on, right? Like I want to try to get the deal even more. But doing everything I can to land a deal for a customer that's going to be difficult is going to cost me. When you say yes to a prospect, you're saying no to other opportunities.
That is so spot on. Jack has a great comment here. Let me pop it up here. There it is. Desperate salespeople make customers victims. Ooh, I love this, because what happens is, as salespeople, we're getting outside our wheelhouse. We're getting outside. One of the things, how do you do it from a place of power? And Meredith talked about that. Who's your ideal customer? We've talked about this a lot on the show, but you have to stay tightly focused and simplify your selling process. I still see so many organizations. I was doing some work this week with a company where the system engineers are invited into the sales calls way too early. And what happens is it winds up becoming basically a product price presentation, because the salesperson's not really creating the need. And the salesperson's not creating a need by exploring what is the outcome, what's the problem that the customer has. So what happens is it winds up just becoming based around, this is the product and price. So what does the customer do? They shop other vendors. They shop other suppliers. What do? They lose the deals. You're no longer in a place of power. You're only in a place of power when you understand the critical need the customer has and you link it to time and money. That's the secret sauce. You do that, and you will have every customer that you are now going to be able to work with them from a place of power.
So let's recap this a little bit. I mean, number one is you're really filling that pipeline. You have so much business coming through that if a customer gives you a hard time, you're willing to let it go. Not only the fact that you have the right people coming through the pipeline, you have people that are a really good fit. The next thing that I'm really going to say you need to do is you need to be really, really clear on your value proposition and why people should be paying your price. It is a myth that people will not pay the price, but they have to understand the risk and the value. I love this story. A million years ago, before I started doing this, and back when I knew Jack Hubbard, I was actually a banker. So a lot of clients that I work with will ask me banking questions when I'm in their offices. And I went in to go see a CEO. It's probably been 3 or 4 months ago. And he was getting ready to refinance his building. And he had 2 loans on his desk. And he wanted me to look at him, but he was kidding, really. But he said, Meredith, you're a former banker. Why don't you look at this and tell me which deal I should go with? Well, one of the loans was a really low interest rate. It had no origination fee. And it had no, what do you call that? A survey, or you have to get on the building to make sure it's worth what it's worth. I forget, the words escaping me right now. The other financial institution had a little higher interest rate, had an origination fee, and required the building be looked at and verified that it was worth what it was worth. And I knew he was expecting me to say the deal that was going to cost him less money. But I looked at it and I said, I would recommend a higher deal. And I could see the look on his face, like, why in God's name am I hiring you as a coach? You're an idiot. But I said, let me explain. I said, I am assuming you need 10 to 15 years to pay this deal, to pay this building off. He said, absolutely. I said, how many times in the last 5 years has that bank with the lower cost changed hands? And he thought about it for a minute and he was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. And I said, do you know anybody at the upper? Do you know anybody besides this kid who's doing this deal? Do you know a CEO? Like, what if the stock market crashes? What if your business gets in trouble? What if the supply chain issue doesn't work itself out? You've known this other bank for 30 some odd years. You can pick up the phone and you can call the chairman. And I said, why would you do business with an organization that's going to let you pay $450,000 for a building that you don't even know if it's worth $450,000? I think that survey, that, what they're requiring you to do is just smart business. I did what that banker should have done. I sold risk and value. You need to understand what your price is for. That is about selling from a place of power. And if they don't accept that, you put the wrong person in your pipeline.
See, bingo, boom. That what you just said is spot on. And that's what you want to create with every customer, because you are really taking the time to understand what their critical need is. Now, we could go off on a whole banking thing. I'm dealing with that right now with a couple of banks on a number of different things. But you and I will get together with Jack and we'll have a separate conversation.
That's right. That's
anyway,
right.
But because one of the banks has just been sold. Yeah. Anyway, but here's a situation that you want to stop and ask yourself this question. Why does the customer have to do business with you? What's the challenge? What's the reason? And see, if you can't identify why that customer has to do business with you, then you're not in a position. And what this means is that so often we wind up putting the offer on the table too soon. There's in the SaaS world, software as a service world, there's a selling process called MedPick. And MedPick really says you got to go through all these gates before you even put a proposal on the table. And I can't stress that enough. I see too many salespeople. What they do is they race to put an offer on the table. You sell from a place of power when you've been able to identify their critical need and link it to time and money. And you think about that the story that Meredith just shared. What was that? That was really about the place of need. Because what happens if the bank gets sold? What happens if things change? That CEO that she was talking to needed to make sure that I've got a connection that's going to keep this loan from being called, from terms being restructured, whatever it might be. That's understanding time and understanding money. I love that. I love that story. Wow, we got a great conversation here, but time is racing along here.
Speaking of time.
Yes, speaking of time. Hey, let's jump into the book. I love this book.
I am now rereading this book for the third time. It's
You're about 27 times behind me. Just say.
Vern Harnish, Scaling Up, How a Few Companies Make It and Why the Rest Don't. I love the title because it is so true. A few companies make it and the rest don't. This is such a good book if you are a large corporation. It is such a good book if you are a small operation. But it is truly the nuts and bolts of what you need to do to go from working in your business to working on your business so you can transform your business. Great exercise, discussing everything from what you need to know about strategy, what you need to know about sales, what you need to know about cash. It is all it is all in here. I have read the book. I have listened to the book. It is dog-eared like crazy, and I have used so many of these exercises with my clients. So again, Scaling Up, Vern Harnish.
It's one of the books that I send to a lot of my customers, a lot of my clients. I just as a gift, I said, "Hey, look, this is a great book." I send it to a CEO of a smaller. Well, he's about 350 employees, and he made a comment several months after I sent him the book. He said, "I hate you." And I said, "Why? What's the problem?" He said, "You sent me that book, Scaling Up, and I'm not even past the first section regarding
Yeah.
And, he said, there's so much information there. And he wound up buying books for every one of his direct reports, on his team.
I just, the book's about 240 pages. Mark just made it is so power packed.
Yeah.
That it'll be the slowest 240 pages you ever read.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I mean, I go through it literally every year at least once. And can I say a secret? There are sometimes when I'm stumped with a client and I'll just get the book out and I'll just kind of like scan through it. Like, this is going to give me some ideas. And boom, Vern's there. And Vern is a great guy.
He is. He really is. So that is today's right. Mark, I don't even know originally when that book came out, but I feel like it's one of those that's been around.
It only came out about 8 years ago, I believe.
But still, it's you think about how many books have been published since then, and it's just one of those Bibles you go back to.
Yeah, his first book was Rockefeller Habits.
Yeah,
equally good. Quick side note on Vern Harnish. At one point in time, Vern moved to Barcelona, Spain. And the reason he moved to Barcelona, Spain was because he wanted to be more centrally located to the world. Now, the guy lives in the U.S., but he moved to Barcelona, Spain, so he could be more centrally located to the world. That's global. I like that thinking. That's global. Really cool.
That's global thinking.
Yeah, that is cool. Okay, are you ready? Hey, let's jump in lightning round. Top 10 things you need to do to sell more effectively this week.
10 things.
10? Can we should run to 20 or 30 on this one.
Number one, prioritize sales every single day on your calendar. It should be within the first half, at least first half of the day.
Block your time. Make sure that your entire day is set up and you can run with it on each activity that you're going to be doing, focused singularly.
We're filming this. We're still in January of 2022. So I would say go to the last 2 quarters of 2021 and see what deals were still lingering and make sure those prospects and those customers get contacted first.
I love it. Set your day up to where you know exactly what you're going to be doing the day before. In other words, tomorrow begins today. I know exactly what I'm already going to be doing tomorrow, Sunday, and also for Monday. I'm always working ahead.
Yeah. I would say make a little bit of time for your own sales education every single day, if it minimum 3 times, but pull out a sales video, listen to Sales Logic, do something like that, but invest in your own sales education.
When you start your day, make sure that you're looking at your goals and your objectives, not only for the year, but for the quarter and for that week. Every day you need to review, and then you need to ask yourself at the end of the day, what did I do to move myself closer to achieving success in each one of those?
Yeah, look and analyze for the target market that you're going after. Review where they're looking for information, where they're getting educated, and ask yourself, what are you doing to put videos, to put articles, to put podcasts, things that you're doing out there in the line of sight of your target market. Build that reputation.
Never look at prospecting as prospecting. Prospecting is investing. Just like you make investments into your 401k, your retirement, whatever it might be, you are making investments into your business, into your sales by prospecting. Prospecting is an investment, and it's best done daily.
Yeah. So, all right, I've got one more. You've got one more. I'm going to say probably the one I am most passionate about. If you never, ever want to make a cold call again in your life, build your network. Build your network, build your network. Understand that networking is a part of the sales strategy. People you haven't spoken to in a long time, pick the phone up, give them a call, reach out, set up a video coffee, whatever you need to do, but focus on networking.
I'm going to be really counter on this one. Fire your bad customers. Get rid of your bad customers so you have more time to spend with your best customers out there. And with that, we'll kind of close it down. Thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, hey, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Hey, remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical. We're having fun.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack Hubbard, for pushing out 30 Days to Sales Success. My new book coming out in March. I can't wait to talk on Jack Rants with you about it. Thank you so much to everybody. Please remember, if you have a question, send it to both Mark and or me, and also contact us at saleslogicpodcast.com. We will see you right here next week, 9 a.m. Eastern, for another episode of Sales Logic. Thanks so much.